Monday morning. It is September the 12th, 2016, and this is High Points. I'm Tracy Trivett, here with pastor of Sharon Heights Baptist Church, Terry Trivett.
Hey, Tracy, how you doing this morning?
Sweaty already.
It's Monday.
Yeah, it is.
You're going to be all right.
I know it.
I want to ask you just a general question, nothing
Okay.
too personal. Who are you going to vote for this year?
You know who I really like?
Who?
Michael Dukakis.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know if you know or not, he's not running.
I wish he or someone else was.
That's the truth. That's the truth. This has been a crazy political year.
Yeah.
I received an email from an organization that was offering me a free sort of brochure guideline for what I could or could not say as a pastor regarding political issues and how I could help to lead my church. And so, I don't know, I've been watching from afar, and it's so interesting to me that I've never seen it like this before. There are evangelical leaders whom I admire and trust who are in three different positions on this election. I won't name them, but one brother whom I respect has written an article that basically says, here's why I cannot vote for Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And he lists a number of reasons, not the least of which is Trump's mouth and other issues with Trump. And then there's an article that I read from another evangelical leader whom I admire, who basically says, here's why I'm going to vote for Trump. And here's how I'm going to be able to, overlook these issues for the sake of this one. And then a third evangelical leader whom I admire wrote an article that basically said, here's how I have come to the position that I'm going to vote for Secretary Clinton. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, it's nuts. And
it's a testament, I think, to the shape we're in politically and where we are. I don't have a whole lot to say when it comes to the issue of who should you vote for. I think that's a presumptuous thing for a pastor to say. I think there are some issues that ought to be non-negotiables for God's people. But I want to just touch on today a little different perspective on politics and our role as believers in what goes on in our government. I think for too long the American church has sought to accomplish their ends by a top-down approach. Mm-hmm. Let's all get organized, put our money together, and write our letters and have our rallies, and we will elect Christian leaders to the top positions, and they will do what we want them to do from the top down. Well, how's that worked out for us?
Not well at all.
Inevitably, after the moral majority and the religious right has flexed its muscles, here we come now, and what has it gotten us? And so I think it's time that maybe we think about, and there are people having this conversation already, how do we really affect change in our country?
Yeah.
And I think that the church needs to start thinking about, instead of a top-down approach, more of an organic bottom-up approach. Now, with that being said, I am in no way dismissing your obligation to vote, to participate in high-level political processes, but I'm talking about the church saying, if we want to change our world, and we want to change our country, and we want to change our state, and we want to change our community and our neighborhood and our city, we got to start from the bottom up. I think it begins with our homes, first and foremost, that we as God's people say, in my house, I'm going to uphold standards that I want upheld in the nation at large. Somebody once said that a lot of Republicans are pro-life in every case except their daughter. And I think sometimes issues that we would trumpet loudly in the larger world are not always so dear to our heart at home. So start at home, and then I think churches have to say, if we really want to exert change, let's start in our community.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, we wish Washington would do this and would do that, and then that would somehow trickle down to our neighborhoods. Why don't we start in our community?
Yeah.
And say, we're going to affect change in our neighborhoods, on our street, in our community, and we're going to try to bring about the kind of change on a local level, really local level, that we say we want to see happen on a national level. Of course, that requires us to get out and build relationships with people in our communities who perhaps politically do not agree with us. But our goal is not to sort of assert political change.
That's right.
It is to assert gospel change and to start seeing communities that fall in love with Jesus and hear the gospel and are changed by Him. And that is what brings about the change in those communities. And if we can start working on a low level, bottom level approach, whatever happens with the nation at large, I think we'll be able to stand before Jesus and say, Lord, where you put us, in the city where you put us, we work to see peace. We work to see blessing there for your glory. Archimedes said, I could move the world if I could find a place to stand. He's talking about leverage. He's talking about being in a position of leverage. I think we've tried to stand at Capitol Hill and move the world.
And seen no change.
And seen very little change. Why don't we stand at our house, on our street corner, and affect change there? If there are issues that bother you about your nation as a whole, why don't you obviously pray about those and vote as the Spirit leads you in accordance with the Scriptures, but why don't you start on a local level to see those things remedied and work at that level? And by God's grace, maybe we can see more change done there than we can at a ballot box with candidates, whoever they are, about which we have to hold our nose.
Yeah, it reminds me of, who was it that suggested that worldwide eternal change would start? What was it that he said? Jerusalem? Judea? Oh, it was Jesus. That's right.
Yeah, I've heard
it's
about
a
that.
novel approach, isn't it?
But we start at a center where we are and work out from there to see change. As far as the election is concerned, I have no advice for you.
Pray.
Don't vote for Dukakis.
Perot?
He's not even in it that I know. Perot neither. Okay. But I would say pray, and I would also say that abstaining from a vote is a legitimate option.
Yeah.
And don't let somebody bully you into saying that you have to. Spurgeon said, when you have to choose between, what was the quote?
When choosing between the lesser of two evils, choose neither.
Neither. So, I don't know. God bless you. I pray that this will be a help to you. I cannot change a lot of what goes on in the larger world, but I have a place to stand.
That's right.
In my world. And for the glory of Christ, may we make changes there.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for watching today. We'll see you again next week, Lord willing.